Okay, so I figured I would do a more in-depth overview of this vest and how I made it for the people who were interested in the preview of it. You know, just go into a bit more detail about it. It's a Australian saltwater crocodile. Can't remember how long it was originally, but oh well. I've put some dubbing into it and that's darkened it up a bit. It looks a lot nicer now, but I'm going to need even more dubbing because I bought a whole tin of dubbing. Was enough for the outside, but still need some more for the inside. So we have to go get some more, but it's much darker, browner colour now, as well as it being better protected. When I started off, it had been butterflied so that this seam here, being the middle of the belly, was the middle of the skin, and it was butterflied so that these hard scales are on the outside. So what I did was I took a vest and I made several cardboard cutouts and for patterns, and I even went out and bought a proper vest pattern and measured it out, trying to work out how to make it out of it, and worked out that I could use the back, belly and sides as the main part of the front. So I worked out where the armpit would be. See, this cutout bit here is this piece through here, and I've still got to trim it out. See, it's even still curved. That's the same piece. You know, just trying to utilize my resources more effectively, because this is a very expensive material to be making things out of. So there's the back, there's the belly, and here, well, these pieces here which make up the shoulder straps, those are from the back of the head, and were also cut down through originally for the skin when the crocodile was skinned. See, because that's the middle and that's the outside of the hide. But these are those lovely big bumps on the back of a crocodile's head that are kind of like a crown on it. If you look at a crocodile, if you look up crocodiles, you'll see what I'm talking about. See, it's got those big armoured scales on the back of a crocodile's head. If you go look up saltwater crocodiles, you'll see they've got this circle of larger scales on their back. I refer to it as the crown, which kind of almost looks like it. Don't know if that's their proper name, but I just call it a crown on the top of the crocodile's head. And of course it's got these other ones as well. So that's the back of the crocodile's neck, part of the head, not like the proper. So that's really just like part of the back of the crocodile's neck. And I still have left over a large section of the crocodile's neck underneath, where it's like this. I still have a pretty sizable piece of that left, as well as the legs, and that's all the offcuts I've got from it. Maybe long enough to make a knife sheath, big enough for, say, an RTAC 2, but I don't think that's what I'd be using it for. But I'll hold on to it because it's a very expensive material. Save it for something special. So that's the back of the neck, and I wanted to use that for the shoulders to show off these big scales, because those are very different to the rest of the body. Kind of using their natural beauty ornamentally, because you know, this is a contrasting shape in the leather, and you know, just to give it more character, as opposed to it being a bland piece of crocodile leather, or as bland as crocodile leather can really get. It's still a very beautiful, exotic material, and I love it. I'm just so addicted to stuff made of crocodile. So that's the front of it, and also, so let's move on to the back. Now the back's a bit more complicated. The back is made up of mostly the tail. See, this is about the hips. So where I cut off the belly, where the front was, comes down, and that cut along there is that cut along there, and there's just a tiny little square. I need to patch that up. I need to put one tiny little piece in there, and I have plenty left over to do that. I just ran out of thread, and yeah, I got kind of sick of sewing for days and days. I just wanted to finally put this thing on and start wearing it. Got a little bit fed up, but I'll get around to that eventually. Might also sew some teeth into the front of it, but this is the back. We're talking about the back. This is the tail. Now, as you can see, this here, you might be able to tell from the way the scales changed, this was the hips, and it's split down the middle. See, originally, that and that were together. This is the very end of the tail. So what I did was, I split the tail from the hips up the middle, which is these two parts. And between them, I sewed on the rest of the tail. So this is the whole. So there's the tip of the tail, and the little hole where the tag was. So it goes up, and then the split starts going up to the hips, cut out, and so there's one side of the tail and hips, there's one side of the tail and hips, and there's the end of the tail in the middle. And I decided to put the end of the tail on the top so that it would hide the cut marks. See, the dye does not penetrate all the way through the leather. Didn't want that visible, and of course having it on top hides that, as well as giving it a bit more character, showing off the waviness of the tail in its natural shape. And I kind of like that on the back. Now, the legs were a bit of a pain because, well, they're not a flat piece of leather. So what I did was I cut them out. You can see there's a cut there. So I cut the legs out, and then I got the offcuts from the crocodile legs, found flat-ish, flexible parts that would make up and cover those areas that were left from cutting the legs off of it, and sewed them in. What else? Oh yes, now this section here, because it was cut on both sides, there wasn't an outer, I didn't want to overlap these because you can see in there, the dye of it originally doesn't penetrate all the way, so it's two stitched together so that it's not one on top of the other, just to try and make the seam blend in a little bit more. Not sure if it really worked that well or if it was worth it, but that's what I did there. So there's a little bit of cow leather on there, which there's one here and one on the other side. That's the only leather on it that's not crocodile leather, but it's hidden, so, and it's just to help it structurally, so it's no big deal. I don't mind. But, oh, this thing is so beautiful. I love it. So this is how it actually looks on me. Isn't that gorgeous? But you'll be seeing a lot more of it in the future because I intend to wear this a lot. Love it. And another thing is I had to drill every single hole in this vest with a Dremel tool to do what I was told was a saddle stitch, and I wore out 2 drill bits. Though I think the last drill bit I wore out was because I put a piece of tile underneath of the leather so I wouldn't drill through it because I was doing the final pieces, and if I drilled too far I'd drill through the other side of the vest and put holes in it that I didn't want. So I really should have put wood underneath of it instead, which is what I had been using before, but oh well. But it's done now and I'll be right. Oh well. Try not to do that in the future, but yes. Also, but the drill bits also took quite a beating because inside of these scales is bone. There's bone inside of these. You know, there's little bones, especially in these, but also these are very hard as well. But these scales are armoured, and I think it was either the Egyptians and or maybe the Romans wore Nile crocodile leather as a cheap form of armour into battle. So, yes, armoured dragon scales. Take that, Tex Grebner. You say you're the Dragonborn, but I'm the one wearing the dragon scale armour. I'm just messing with you. Don't really want to make another one too soon. It was a lot of work. Though I do have material left over to do a couple little projects. I'm thinking maybe a knife sheath, maybe an axe sheath, but at least I want to do a wallet, because I've got plenty to do a crocodile wallet left over. Yeah. Wait, what the hell is that? Alright, everyone. Hope you have a good one. See you. Oh, and please leave a comment and let me know what you think. I love this thing. It's awesome. I've wanted one for so long. Alright, seriously, this time. Everyone. See you.